Okay, part 2 of this final. I'm on number 27. Graph the circle. So I'm just going to quickly graph the circle. The center's at 3 and at a -2. Center's at 3 and a -2, and the radius is not 4, the radius is 2. So I need to go 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. It looks approximately like that. Number 28, y equals mx plus b. In place of the slope, you're going to put 2/3. In place of x, you're going to put 2. In place of y, you can put -2, so you can find b. -2 equals 4/3 plus b. -2 equals 1.3 repeating plus b. Subtract 1.3 repeating, get 3.3 repeating equals b. Final answer, y equals, what's the m? 2/3 minus 3.3 repeating. No, again, you do not have to put it in their form. You can leave it as y equals mx plus b. Next, 29. They give you the xy chart. They give you the xy chart to help you graph it. The first one is all your y values have to be 3. Your x value starts at a -2, and you need to go smaller than a -2. So what numbers are less than a -2? -3, -4, those all numbers are less. How does this graph? You're going to put your first dot at -2, 3. It's a closed circle, and then you're going to put a -3, 3, a -4, 3, and it ends up being a horizontal line going to the left. And you put a closed circle, because if you look at -2, there's a line underneath the inequality sign. The second one, you need to start at 1, because it tells you to start at 1. And you need to be greater than 1. So you have to start at 1, though, and then put 2, and then put 3, and have numbers greater than 1. And then what you're going to do is plug 1 into the original. 3 minus 1, you get 2. And then you're going to plug 2, and then you're going to plug 3, and you're going to... But the first dot has to be an open circle. So at 1, 2, open circle. 2, 1, close. 3, 0, close. Connect your dots, and you're pretty much done. These guys right here tell you what to start with on your XY chart, and you have to follow that chart in order to graph it right for the test. Number 30. Graph it first. We're going to do 30 and 33 are basically the same type of problem. You're going to put a first dot at -2, another dot at 1, and another dot at 5. Does everybody see how we got -2, +1, and +5? I solved for all those parentheses. And then, when I put it all back together again, I know that it's x to the 3rd power. So I know that all x to the 3rd power start down and end up. So I know that that's what it looks like. And you notice that there's only one answer for each of them, because they're all to the 1st power. You're going to go through the dot, you're going to go through the dot, and you're going to go through the dot. What they want are the intervals where it's greater than 0. This part is above the x-axis, and this part is above the x-axis. The part that's above the x-axis, because it's greater than. The final answer is from a -2 to 1, union with 5 to infinity. So by looking at the graph, if they ask you for less than 0, it's everything below the graph. I don't know which way they're going to ask you, so make sure you know what you're doing, below the graph or above the graph. I want to do 33 because it's exactly the same concept. One answer is 0, the other answer is 2. I know if I put this back together again, it's x to the 3rd, so it starts down and ends up. At 0, there's one answer, so I'm going to go through the 0, but do you notice 2? There's a 2 above it, which means there's an even amount of 2's, which means it's going to bounce off of that. Final answer. Okay, now we go back to 31. X is an answer, 2 is an answer, and 5 is an answer. Can I put this all back together again to find a polynomial? I'm going to multiply these together first. X squared minus 7x plus 10, and then multiplied by x. Final answer, y equals x cubed minus 7x squared plus 10x. Final answer. 32. How do you find the vertical asymptote? You set the denominator equal to 0 and solve. So if they ask you to find the vertical asymptote, you set the 4x minus equal to 0. You add 8. X equals 2. Don't forget the x part. It's part of your problem. Leave it as x equals 2. Again, how do you find the vertical asymptote? You set the denominator equal to 0 and solve for x. On the other hand, number 33, or I guess that's number 34, sorry. How do you find the horizontal asymptote? You take the largest number value in the numerator and divide it by the highest power in the denominator. The x's cancel each other out, but don't forget your y on the test. Every horizontal line starts with the letter y. Do not forget the letter y on the test. Y equals 3 is the horizontal asymptote. So again, don't forget your x, and don't forget your y on 32 and 34. 35. X cubed minus x squared plus 9x minus 9. And you have to come up with 3 solutions to this problem for number 35. So, you're going to find factors of a negative 9, like 1, 3, and 9. And then you're going to try plus or minus, plus or minus, plus or minus. And I'm going to start with 1. And looky there. I got 1 to work. So that's one of my 3 answers. My other 2 answers are hiding right here. X squared plus 9 equals 0. X squared equals a negative 9. Square root both sides. X is going to equal plus or minus 3i. Those are 2 of my answers, and my other answer was 1 by using synthetic division. 36. And I'm not going to go much farther than that because we just had a test on everything else. So I don't think I'm going to go any farther other than going into logs, which is 48 and on. So number 36. I'll do this one and that's about it. Y equals x plus 2. X squared minus 2y equals a negative 4. In place of y right there, you're going to put x plus 2. So you're going to go x squared minus 2x plus 2 equals a negative 4. X squared minus 2x minus 4 equals a negative 4. You know there's 2 answers because it's x to the second, and I hope you know how to solve an x squared by bringing everything over to one side. These guys cancel each other out, so you have x squared minus 2x. Take out an x, GCF. X is going to equal 0, and x is going to equal 2. But there's another letter in this problem, a variable. The other variable is y. So when x is 0, you get 2 for y, and when x is 2, you get 4 for y. Final 2 answers, 0, 2, and 2, 4. Okay, go to the last page. I'm not going to go over determinants and all that. It should be fresh in your mind on how to do all that. So I want to go to problem 48. Y equals x minus 6 over 4. How do you find the inverse? F to the negative 1 means inverse. So how do you find the inverse? You interchange the x's and the y's. Put it over 1 if you want and just cross multiply. 4x equals y minus 6, so y must equal 4x plus 6. These 2 circles are said to be inverses of each other. 49. Y equals 2 to the x minus 3. This is an exponential function. Every exponential function starts at 1, 0. but since there's a minus 3 at the end of it, I'm going to go down 3. So here's my new dot. There's my new dot. I started at a positive 1, but I have to go down 3 because that's what it goes down by. The 2 means that it's increasing, so it's going to look like this. But don't forget about the horizontal asymptote. Remember, the horizontal asymptote always starts at 0, but I have to move it down 3. So here's my new horizontal asymptote. Don't forget to put that on the test, the horizontal asymptote. Number 50, 3 to the 3x minus 1, change the 9 to 3 to the 2x plus 4. Set these two equal to each other and solve for x. I don't think I need to do that one any farther. 51, write it as 1 log of base a. 1 log of base a. Since there's a minus sign in the problem, you know you need a division sign. You put the x plus y on the top, and that little 2 goes above the x. So it's x squared. 9 10. 52, you have 2 to the x minus 2 equals 5. You're going to log both sides of your problem. You log both sides of your problem. After you log both sides, you're going to bring this x minus 2 out in front, and I would put it in parentheses. Then I would figure out x minus 2, and I would divide both sides by the log of 2. So whatever the log of 5 is divided by the log of 2 on your calculator is going to go right here. It's going to be a decimal, I think. And then all you have to do is add 2 to both sides to get x of it. 53, you're just going to put into this formula. Find the value of R to population expected to reach 400. The original is 100, and it's going to go to 400. And you're trying to figure out the R, and we know the time is 7. So, first thing you do is divide both sides by 100, so you can get E alone. So 400 divided by 100 is 4 equals E to the R7, or 7R. Now you natural log 4, and you natural log the E to the 7R. Natural log of 4 equals 7R, natural log of E. This natural log of E is very important. It turns into a 1. So whatever the natural log of 4 is divided by 7 is going to be the rate. Okay, a couple more. On the back, there's some formulas you need to do. I want to continue and do 54, 55, 56, and 57, and then we will be done in the next couple of minutes. So, if you see 2 log a base 3 of 3, I can take that 2 and put it up here. Or, I don't need to do that. I'm going to do this instead. Sorry, log a base 3 of 3. These are identical. If the 3 and the 3 are identical, it ends up being 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. This is the one I'm talking about. 5, 3 log a base 5 of 3. You can get rid of that 3 by putting it up here. If these are identical, if the 5 and the 5 are identical, that whole circle part will cancel out on the problem. This will be probably on the test. Cancel this out. 3 to the 3rd is 27. Log a base 2 of the cube root of x. Whoops, that's the cube root of x, so y. It's the log of base 2 of the cube root of x minus, because there's a division sign, the log of base 2 of y. This is the same thing as the log of base 2 of x to the 1/3 power minus the log of base 2 of y. And then the last thing you have to do on the test is take that little 1/3 and put it all in front. And the last problem, I'm just going to talk about 57. Notice that they're exactly the logs of 3's on both sides. All you have to do is set them equal to each other and solve for x. Okay, that's the second part of the final Hopefully, if you want to review, you can always stop this if I went too fast, but at least you have an idea on how to do most of the problems.